Morning, members of the media and compliments of the new season. Hope you all rested well and are ready to cover our January 8 statement. Thanks, DSG. So once more, welcome to Lituli House in 2023. We have convened this briefing to come and just give you a status update on our January 8 activities, on the continuation of the national conference, and the number of build-up activities that we are expected to have. With me here today is the Secretary General, newly elected, new from the box, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, the first Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Nomvola Mukonyane, and the second Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Marupeni Ntuli. Marupeni Ramokhopa. Sorry, my apologies. Sorry. No, myself and the DSG served together in the Youth League, so there's always that challenge. So I'm going to invite the Secretary General to come and present the statement. Over to you, SG.
Thank you very much, Comrade Pule. Compliments to ladies and gentlemen of the media, my colleagues in the Secretary General's office, the first Deputy Secretary General and the second Deputy Secretary General. On behalf of the officials and conference, we are mandated to update the media today about preparations for our agenda conference, and as well as a status report about the January 8 statement. Last time we met in this important room, except Ramokhopa. Me and Nomvola were aspirant officials of the ANC. We didn't say much, but we are here at that time. So, conference have spoken. Thank you very much for being with us, and we hope you had good holidays, albeit very brief. This year, 2023, marks the 111th anniversary since the formation of the African National Congress. As we celebrate the 111th anniversary of the formation of the African National Congress, we equally fly our flags at half-mast in honor of the men and women who died on the line of duty at the O.R. Tambo Memorial Hospital in Boksburg following the gas tanker explosion, and the members of the community who lost their lives. We are equally concerned at the distasteful, racist physical attacks meted out on two young boys by white adult men at the Massasport Resort in the Free State on Sunday, 25th December 2022. The attacks are not only unfortunate, but an affront on efforts to consolidate a truly non-racial society. The preamble of our movement enjoins us to lead and embrace a united, non-racial, non-sexist and democratic South Africa, in which the people as a whole shall enjoy equal rights. We must therefore not allow the Massasport Resort racial scourge to undermine and reverse the gains we have made in creating a rainbow nation where all our people, regardless of the color of their skin, are able to coexist as one. Continuation of the 55th National Conference agenda with the decision to continue on the 5th of January 2023 in hybrid format. Over 4,000 delegates, including the leagues and alliance partners, are expected to attend the national conference, which will be decentralized into 9 hubs as follows. The national hub will be in the Free State, Imvelo Lodge, Imvelo Safari Lodge and Conference Center in Mangaung, Limpopo Bolivia Lodge in Polokwane, Eastern Cape, it will be at the East London Exhibition Center, Northern Cape Mitas Perepere Conference Center, Kimberley, Mpumalanga Steve Tshwete Banquet Hall in Middleburg, Western Cape Cresta Grand Conference Hotel, Strand Street, Cape Town, Gauteng Beachwood Hotel and Conference Center, Boksburg, KZN Devon Exhibition Center at Tequini. The National Hub in Mangaung will host the NEC, the Leagues Alliance and the Free State Delegation. And there will be 8 provincial hubs. The conference can only be joined from one of the hubs. Since conference was adjourned, credentials remain unchanged and delegates are therefore requested to bring along their tags and they will be registered in the different venues across the country. Each venue will be linked up to the national hub from where the proceedings will be directed. All rapporteurs will be based at the national hub. The main agenda items which the 55th conference will conclude are reports from commissions on strategy and tactics, organizational renewal and finances and sustainability, reports from commissions on governance and transformation, constitutional amendments and conference declaration. Presentation will be done in plenary at the national hub, and the national chairperson will then move province by province in terms of consolidating the inputs from different provinces. Logistics such as accreditation and setup for the hybrid syndication of the national conference already are at an advanced stage, with teams deployed throughout the identified hubs. The Department of Information and Publicity, led by National Spokesperson Pule Mabe, will coordinate with the media on accreditation as well as access to the open sessions of the conference. We envisage 2 sessions. In between, there will be a feeder to the media about the resolutions as and when they are adopted by plenary. The logistics in terms of the link with the media will be communicated by DIP, how we are going to do this work. But the national hub, which will be a feeder, will be in Mangaung, Imvelo Lodge, which will link with different provinces. We will run this conference over 2 days, starting from the 5th to the 6th, uninterrupted. We'll have breaks in terms of lunch and supper, but we will conclude within these 2 days, the conference. We might conclude the early hours of the 6th with the declaration and the closing address by the President, so that you are aware, as the media, that's what is going to happen. In between that, there will be media briefing, because I was asked a question with the colleagues here when we're briefing the media, why you bring us here and you don't brief us about commissions, you don't allow us in your conference and so on. We gave you a report about what was discussed. You had a lot of questions about load shedding and many other things. Now that elections are over, we'll be moving towards that direction. What is the conference resolving on a whole range of issues? So we will brief the media as and when plenary concludes on every issue. It be on economy, our rapporteurs, and also our chairpersons of different commissions will brief the media in between conference throughout the day. And then we'll also deal with constitutional amendments. That will take a lot of our time, because constitutional amendments require voting if 2/3 of the conference must endorse in the resolutions that will happen. In terms of January 8 celebrations, 111 celebrations of the ANC, the following activities can be confirmed. 1, Dr. Petrus Mulemela Stadium is the venue to host the January 8th celebration. All matters that were previously flagged in relation to the stadium infrastructure have been cleared. There is a very popular letter from the municipal manager of the Free State that is doing rounds in the social media and so on. All the issues in that letter have been attended to, and we've got a certificate from the municipality that have cleared all the issues and granting the ANC permission to use the stadium. The stadium was used on the 1st of December for National AIDS Day. The stadium was used by also another political party. It will now be used by the ANC. It is normal that when we used any stadium, municipal manager or municipality will raise issues of disaster and so on. So those issues have got flagged and attended to. So Mangaung has been cleared for us. We've got everything sorted for us, and we use stadiums, as you know, all the time. So this is what we go through all the time. So all the issues that pose a threat to disaster management have been attended to. The ANC will host a golf day and gala dinner for fundraising purposes on the 7th January 2023. I've seen people questioning this. We don't have money, we raise money from people who've got money. Simple as that. And then there's no gun on your head. You voluntarily buy a table. Even if it is 2 million of the president, that money goes to the ANC to fund its political activities. We sell tables to business people who want to network. They want to network for different purposes and so on. We sell tables to these business people who buy tables for purposes of networking and all of that, and then we raise money for the funding of the ANC political activities and the program of the ANC. And those who buy tables do so with a clear mind that they are funding the African National Congress. So we'll have a golf day and a dinner. But to us, this dinner and the golf day doesn't only end with fundraising, but also it's an exhibition of fundraising, cultural, activities, different artists, genres of music and all of that, to celebrate 111th year of the ANC. And in this instance, we work with local artists, primarily in the Free State. We will also have a national component to it. Comrade Nomvula can explain that. So it's going to be a humdinger, razzmatazz, as always, better and well organized. The stadium takes 15,000 capacity. Nomvula can clarify that as the person responsible for the organizing. 15,000, we expect the stadium to be full to capacity. The president will give the main address and give a program of action and a message of the ANC for the year from the stadium. As is tradition, a number of activities will be conducted as part of the 111th anniversary. These activities will include a revolutionary pilgrimage led by the officials in a form of wreath laying at various grave sites of former presidents of the ANC. We will start at the Kroonstad, Maukeng, tomorrow at the gravesite of Reverend Mahabani, the pilgrimage, and then we'll proceed to Mangaung, Ntatema Pikela, and then we'll end at Tabanchu, Dr. Moroka's gravesite. Because of logistics, not all officials will be in all the activities. Tomorrow, the President will be joined at Maukeng by the Deputy President, by the Secretary General, and as well as the Treasurer General. In Mangaung, the President will be joined by the Deputy Secretary General, first and second, as well as the National Chairperson. In Mapikela, as well as in Tabanchu. So that will be the pilgrimage. The Deputy Secretary General is leading our preparations team, working with the Free State provincial leadership. Obviously, today we are giving an update. You can ask anything about the conference and so on. But we will be on the ground. There will be a second briefing where we'll take you to the stadium on Saturday. Pule will coordinate. But we will also be on the ground from Thursday in terms of our conference. So our conference will be concluded on the 5th and the 6th. And then there will be a number of activities, build-up activities, visiting communities, and then starting with the pilgrimage tomorrow. DIP will publish and share with members of the media a daily schedule of activities. Our last message is to all South Africans returning from their different holiday destinations: drive safely, and we wish them to arrive alive. Thank you very much.
Thanks, SG. We'll now invite questions from members of the media. Osli Zega, Samkel Debu, Brafix, you will be the last. Sure, Zega.
Good morning, I'm very happy, Nobala, that you said we could ask any question. We're not limited. In terms of you adopted 2 DSGs, but there was also a narrative that the Treasurer General should be part-time. Can you just give us clarity on that? Will this be something that will be discussed during commissions, or has there been a resolution around that? The spokesperson, the matter of the spokesperson, when do you decide, I'm sure Bole wants to continue with his life, when do you decide to install a new spokesperson? And will geographical spread, given that 6 of the top 7 are from Johannesburg, Gauteng, sorry, will geographical spread be part of what informs the reasoning towards the spokesperson? Andile Lungisa. Andile Lungisa is part of ANC. I think during the conference, delegates were the ones who fought for Andile Lungisa. What happens with his suspension? Is he still suspended? Questions around whether he is in fact part of the NEC. The President's Integrity Committee report, the Palapala report, you did make mention of it at conference, that it hadn't been tabled. Will it be tabled on the 5th or the 6th? Those are just a few questions I have for now. Thank you.
Or can we take this side and then come? Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Nkosi Konamalinga Misi from Power FM. The first question I have is regarding the issue around the venue. Given the time frame that the municipality released those 2 statements, the first one raising issue with certain challenges that the stadium has, and then just about a week later they then cleared the party to host these celebrations. Are you satisfied, given the magnitude of the event and the people attending this particular event, that indeed you have been cleared? Because some of the issues that were raised there were really concerning. So I think that's the first one. The second one The SG at the last briefing last year when the ANC was announced spoke about the fact that the President should be considering issues around his cabinet. Has there been any consultation with the President? Perhaps what are his thoughts on the matter at this particular point in time? Ngozi.
Let's fix and then we'll come. Should I just take all the questions and then we'll answer it once? Okay.
Philip Lemoya from Soweto. Regarding considering the financial situation that the ANC finds itself in, and acknowledging that this would have been a 6-day conference instead of a 4-day, is the ANC going to accept that it needs 6 days to hold conference? If it does not, what is it going to do to ensure that it is able to finish its work within the 4 days allocated? Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. My name is Lukano from Newsroom Africa. Mr. Malula began today's briefing by speaking about the issue of the alleged racist attack in the Free State. And which kind of got me thinking about, about the ANC and the issue of non-racialism within the organization. Within the top 7, there is no one of a different race within the party. As well as, there's precious few within the National Executive Committee as well. So how then does the ANC continue to push the agenda of non-racialism when, the top leadership structures of the party are purely just of one race? I'm just kind of thinking about that. Thank you.
Thank you and compliments to all of you new leaders. My name is Mawande from the Sunday Times. There was an understanding that the conference being adjourned was on the basis of avoiding incurring extra costs in the form of accommodation, in the form of transport, buses, all those that were coming from external provinces. But this time around, with the continuation, it would seem, well, it's obvious that there will be costs because where they gather these delegates, for instance, make an example about Beshwood, not everyone who is here who was a delegate from Gauteng stays in Egorulena. So obviously there will be transport costs, probably because it's going on for 2 days accommodation. Therefore, it raises the question, what was the actual reason for the adjournment if costs are still going to continue? Also, does the ANC have the money to carry more costs from the 4 or 5 days that we had now in December? Secondly, on the issue of Dr. Mudimela Stadium and the letters from the city manager there, why was Dr. Mudimela the only option? If it was this Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein, which is much bigger, was it even considered? Does it have issues as well, or it was not considered at all? And also because others argue that the ANC these days is very scared of bigger venues. Free State Stadium is 44,000 plus compared to the 15,000 that we're talking about, which is Dr. Mudimela Stadium. And also maybe with that SG, what do you think was going on in the mind of the city manager to issue those letters if such issues could be resolved in such a short space of time? Because it was explicit that it wouldn't take a day or two to fix those issues, but suddenly, as you say to us, they've suddenly been resolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabe, and compliments of the new year to the newly elected leadership of the ANC SGO. Samkele Masebe from the SABC. 2 quick questions. On the issue pertaining to the stadium, you are seemingly moving swiftly and speed and with agility to sort out the issues of the stadium. Why can't you do that with issues pertaining to service delivery in the country, which matters the most, which is your electorate, and especially noting the problems plaguing Mangaung. The Minister of Copter, the Minister of Finance, last year went to that municipality due to this dire financial situation and the issues pertaining to leadership in that specific municipality. Why can't you sort those issues first and foremost? Secondly, the issue of the troika in the Mangaung municipality. That is in the desk of the top 6 of the ANC that was previously in leadership and was ultimately handed over leadership in December. When is that issue being sorted out? In sorting out the troika and the factional battles taking place in the city of Mangaung, which affects service delivery of the people of that particular metro. Then on the issue pertaining to racism in the country. The ANC previously spoke of non-racialism, tried to push non-racialism. When you look at the composition of the ANC leadership today, it is arguably 2 provinces that have other people of color in the leadership of the party. In particular, Gauteng, Western Cape, Northern Cape. All other provinces of the ANC are predominantly led by one race. Are you turning into a Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania Light in the form of composition of leadership of the party? It's an issue the late Deputy General Secretary Jesu Duarte raised sharply within the structures of the ANC. I think the first DSG Mambula Mokonyane would be familiar with those issues. Then on the issue pertaining to the president of the ANC, you were in the same conundrum with former President Jacob Zuma on Nkandla. The newly re-elected SG at some point in Mpumalanga when he was still in Ketedi, he said, we're running Umcimbi serious, this is no Nkandla. Is it time that you introspected on the type of leaders that you elect that can inspire society instead of having a dark cloud over their heads? Not to say the president is guilty or anyone is guilty, but to say the ANC is forever being perceived as an organization of the corrupt and of thieves. Then lastly, January 8, it's a prestige platform of the party. It used to have decorum. People used to take Umkombandlela from January 8 by your longest serving president, OR, from 1967 to 1991. Today, it's become a festival of bashes, expensive alcohol, a lavish lifestyle, expensive vehicles. Has January 8 lost its essence? Stan Matawata in Limpopo pronounced someone on January 8, where you used to provide Umkombandle. Will we see the same with the Free State declaring Tukwana or declaring Tabumanyoni? Are South Africans still even interested in the January 8 statement? Thank you.
Next up.
Thank you. It's Linda Lamasinang from ANC. I just have one question with regards to a statement that was released by a group called the Strategic Dialogue Group. I understand, I'm assuming you'll be familiar with them. They are requesting or demanding that there be disciplinary processes with regards to what they deem to have been former President Jacob Zuma's manifestation of the ill discipline that we saw during the conference. Has this been discussed? As well as those who did not toe the party line. I know there's only been one letter that I've seen anyway in terms of disciplinary processes being instituted against Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. What about the other 4? Thank you.
Good morning. Compliments of the new year to the SGO. My name is Ntebo. I'm with the SABC. I've got 3 questions. One is the one on the composition of the leadership of the ANC, the top 7 officials. Is the ANC slowly marginalizing the minority? That question has been asked. Just want to get that. And secondly, I've seen that there is a chock-a-blocked program over the next few days. I wish I could understand whether the standing promise that the Secretary General made on the interaction with the top 7 officials, that still stands. The Secretary General promised that the media will have an interaction with the top 7 officials. Does that still stand? And thirdly, I know it's unwritten rule that the ANC will have to go to its conference with all the provinces participating in that conference. We know that the Western Cape and the Free State didn't have their provincial conferences. And secondly, we know that the ANC didn't finish its business of conference in December. All these events, is the ANC shameful that a party of 110 years, over 110 years, couldn't finish its business of conference, went to its conference without the Secretary General in that conference, went to the conference with the President, with a cloud hanging over its President, and went to the conference with 2 provinces not even there. And finally, you're going to have 9 hubs. At some point, we're told that Nazareth was exempted from ESCOM and from load shedding. How are you going to deal with the problem of load shedding during this hybrid conference? Are we likely going to see all these 9 provinces, all these hubs in those provinces exempted from ESCOM, from load shedding? That's it from me.
No, can we, because we passed.
Oh no, I just wanted to add to a question that exists, just to drive it further home.
Your question, or you're just sponsoring something in a question?
No, someone asked a question, but I want to add to the question.
No, it's temptation. No, I don't go ahead. Let's leave it. Okay, SGO, can we respond?
Thank you very much. The DSG will respond to issues pertaining to the organization of the January 8 matters and organization. I'll deal with the overarching policy implication issues you have asked on the organization in terms of the ANC. Starting with Lizeka, full-time, part-time officials, spokesperson, geographical spread. Let me explain briefly for the media's information. We are concluding the National Conference 5 and 6. Thereafter, we'll have a National Executive Committee, which National Executive Committee will deal with matters of the induction of new members of the NEC that include also the officials. The induction will be conducted by O.R. Tambo School of Excellence, led by Comrade Khalima Mutlante, where we'll get to know each other. Who are we? Where do we come from? What is our history? And so on, but also to lay the basis for members of the new National Executive Committee to understand what is upon them in relation to the task at hand of the National Executive Committee. That will be the first meeting. In that first meeting, we will also deal with the resolutions of the National Conference. We will also deal with the election of the National Working Committee. We will deal with the restructuring of the National Executive Committee in terms of subcommittees and also deployment of members of the National Executive Committee to various tasks in the organization. And that includes deployment to subcommittees, deployment to provinces, and electing the National Executive Committee and constituting new committees of the National Executive Committee and commissions. So that will be the first meeting. The full-timeness will be presented to the officials, and then the officials will mull over that. We will, as the Secretary General's office, present a new structure to the officials, and it will be adopted by the National Executive Committee. That structure includes who then becomes full-time, what are the tasks of the DSGs in terms of the organization, and then at the political level, who then becomes full-time and why. So the Secretary General's office is busy now in the back room dealing with those issues. Already there is a proposed organizational structure that was adopted by the previous NEC, and then the Secretary General's office will look into that structure and then present to the National Executive Committee. Once adopted, that is the structure we'll go with in terms of how the ANC is going to be structured. We want to conclude this as quick as possible between January and February. In between that, we are going to have a lekgotla that prepares for the government lekgotla that is going to take place before the State of the Nation. So we've got our job cut out. So all of these issues of full-timeness, spokesperson, and so on will be dealt with in that context. And so on. Geographical spread, the National Conference have given us leadership. We'll work with that leadership that has been appointed or elected by the National Conference. And then accordingly, we'll look at that leadership in terms of different strength and so on, how we can deploy our comrades properly in terms of the structure of the organization. So we presume that the National Conference considered all the principles, albeit inadequate, including the national question, which you are raising, all of you, about the non-racial nature of the leadership of the ANC. The National Executive Committee will have to evaluate, look at everything, leadership and so on, and decide where there are gaps, how do we address that? Through co-option. But we can't get into that till we conclude this conference over 2 days, which the constitutional amendments will dictate what the National Executive Committee is given by the Constitution to exercise its powers in relation to co-option. And we'll look at the National Executive Committee as to whether or not, like we have already looked at it yourselves, that the National Executive Committee is inadequate when it comes to the race question. I'll come to that at a later stage. Until the Lungisa matter is before conference. The steering committee this evening will finalize and make proposals as per mandate of conference on the matter. Conference have agreed that Lungisa must stand, and then he stood and they managed to make it to the National Executive Committee, and then we were given a mandate to go and examine that particular matter in terms of the ANC prescripts and constitution and report to plenary. So we will report on that matter of Comrade Andile Lungisa. So he's elected, steering committee is supposed to report to conference, and we'll do that from the 6th and the 7th on the question of Comrade Andile Lungisa. On the Pala report, there will be no report at conference. We are entertaining 2 issues at conference to finalize. It will be the reports from the commissions, and then constitutional amendments, and that will be the business of the second leg of the conference. The issue of the Pala report was referred to the National Executive Committee. As you know, there are important milestones in relation to this matter. There was a motion in Parliament that was defeated. There are members of the ANC who voted with the opposition, and their issue in terms of that particular matter, it has been referred to the National Disciplinary Committee. So the National Disciplinary Committee will deal with that particular matter, will be seized with that matter, because these are members of the ANC who have defied the mandate of the National Executive Committee. So that matter is referred to the DC. The Pala issue, as and when it arises, if it will, the National Executive Committee will deal with the issue, as and when there is a need to do so. That is Lizeka. And then Power FM municipality, are we satisfied? When we organize an event, there are issues that the municipalities will flag. We organized Siangoba Rally. We're supposed to go to FNB. We could not go. We used Ellis Park and Johannesburg Stadium. Those issues do arise. Why a letter of a municipal manager between himself and us was leaked to public? I don't want to be naive, but I think it was reckless and wrong for that letter to be circulated, because these things do happen. Now, it is open to interpretation of sabotage, it is open to interpretation of conspiracy, all sorts of conspiracies. No, there are those who say this letter was leaked deliberately because it is a sabotage. There are those who don't want the rally to succeed in Mangaung. How can a rally not succeed for a party of 1 million members in a small stadium of 15,000 people? How can a rally not succeed there? If you want to sabotage it, how will you do that? So we're not entertaining that. We deal with the procedure. This is a national event organized by us, and therefore we have dealt with all the issues. Comrade Nomvula can add to that. We have dealt with all the issues in relation to the stadium. We find it awkward that communique between the ANC and the municipality is leaked to social media. These things do happen. We don't report them even to you all the time when we organize events. I'm the longest serving event organizer with this comrade next to me. We have organized, failed, and our record, we have organized a lot of successful rallies, and very successful. Isn't it? We need an award for that. So all these events, honestly speaking, even in my capacity as a Minister of Sports, many activities, these things do happen. Of course, ANC can't go to a stadium where there will be a disaster. The President of the country, the President of the ANC will be there, cabinet ministers will be there, our people will be there. So we can't take our people to a place that is not safe. So all those issues that are flagged, we obviously opened a discussion with the municipality. We can safely report now that Dr. Molimela is our destination. And all issues raised in the letter have been attended to between ourselves and the municipality. So all of those issues are addressed. I saw even Helen Zille joining the fray yesterday. Of course, she has to join because DA is not used to stadiums. They're just used to stadiums when there is elections. But they are not a mass party. So we are a mass party. We use stadiums to get people organized and so on. So we go through this all the time. And so as a mass party, we know what needs to be done to preserve safety and ensure that we follow the regulations. So we have done that. Cabinet reshuffle, look, we come from a conference. There are a number of issues that the president has got to consider as the head of cabinet. He doesn't have to go full-blown reshuffle or whatever. Even before this conference, there were vacancies in cabinet. As a president, he's got to think about that. That's what I said. And I still repeat, he's got to think about that. If he doesn't think about that, he's reckless. Secondly, we come from a conference, there will be vacancies, there will be implications. that the president has got to apply his mind, working with the ANC. And then at the end, the decision is his. He will bring proposals to the ANC, and then at the end of the day, the president has got to work with the package that he's got. He will bring suggestions, he will apply his mind. But at the end of the day, we understand in the ANC how issues of that nature are dealt with. We don't want to micromanage the president to a point where he can't take decisions. And then he says, I can't move, I can't do this because Nomvula and Malula are sitting with a gun. No, the president has got our full support. He's got the mandate of the ANC conference to think and decide on such matters, with due respect, in consultation with the party, which is that will happen. Not even the party. I saw there was a circular here that the NEC will be discussing cabinet reshuffle. You can imagine we'll spend 5 days. If we can't just agree who must be elected in the top 6, you can imagine arguing who must get to cabinet. The organization will collapse. Not everybody, when that decision is taken by the president after consultation, will be happy. But we live by that. You don't live to make everybody happy. The only thing that makes everybody happy is money. And the president can't be money and want to make all of us happy. Of course, with due respect, there will be consultation. At the right moment, at the right time, president will make his decisions very clear and open to the public. But at the present moment, there is no crisis. We are functioning. There is no problem. Government is operating. And then we've got the whole January State of the Nation and beyond that to deal with these particular matters. And even before that, if the president deems it fit to deal with matters before, it is up to him. He will tell us. He's got our 100% support. There's no doubt about it. All what we don't want is instability. We don't want people who are not going to deliver. We don't want people who are not going to work. We don't want incompetence. That is not negotiable on the part of the ANC, and it will not be negotiable. We don't want that. We want people who are going to do the work, and we are happy with what they are able to deliver. We want a gender-sensitive government. We want a government that is youthful, that is running. We don't want people who are sleeping on the job. We don't want that. If president is going to come us with sleepers, he must forget our support. There we are not going to agree. And people who are not working and all of that, they're not going to have our support. We are 1 year to the election. So, reshuffle or no reshuffle, it's academic. But the fact of the matter is that there are posts in government that must be filled. And if president wants to go beyond that, it's up to him to do that. We are happy as the ANC to get a functioning and a running government. And we are happy with a lot of things that have happened in government. We think that government must consolidate its communication in terms of delivery. So those are things that will happen. Now, in terms of my namesake, Fikile, financial situation, our financial situation improves. It's not at, it has been a public matter that our financial situation, we are not at the good, we don't look good as the ANC from a financial point of view. The postponement, the adjournment, which was beyond our control because people had to go. If we were to stay there and all of that, it means we'll incur more costs. But we will not finish the business of the conference the way we wanted. That everybody feels part. Because majority of people will be on the road going. Because the deadline for transport, for instance, to be ferrying people back, we had met that deadline. We know that we wasted a lot of time on the first day in terms of registration. If we dealt with the registration on the first day, and we wouldn't be having an adjournment. It meant that we would have finished on time and people leaving. At 1 o'clock, the conference will be closing on that day. We couldn't. So we couldn't equally take a risk to proceed with the conference with the numbers that we would have had and the majority of our delegates left. So if we renew ourselves and we talk about renewal, it's important to conclude the conference properly. And this is what we're going to do. Most of our provinces are taking the bill in terms of our delegates and the venues. And then we'll take care of what we need to, including connectivity. We have gone for the best experts in terms of connectivity and hybrid arrangement that we're going to implement for this conference. And so we are confident that our financial obligations in relation to the extension of conference, we are able to meet because we have budgeted for that with our provinces, and we are in a position to meet our financial obligations in terms of this conference. Newsroom, top 7 national question, I've answered that question. The NEC will examine, will look at the National Executive Committee, if there is a need to co-opt and so on. We will look into that in our evaluation. We take your criticism in terms of the national question, in terms of the National Executive Committee and all of that. We will look into those issues, and the collective of the National Executive Committee will apply its mind and make recommendations. If we have to co-opt, we'll co-opt. We'll do that. We are not an Africanist party. We are black in general and African in particular. So that's who we are. So, Samkel. And then Mawande, extra cost for the conference, I've answered that particular point. The adjournment was really logistics. We have ourselves, we are not happy with how we have organized the conference in terms of the registration and so on, but we will sort those things out going forward. Even with the second leg, we leave nothing to chance. We want to run a flawless arrangement. We know there could be a lot of challenges on the day. We're doing a dry run now as we speak in terms of all the logistics to get the conference going in terms of the second leg. Rugby Stadium has got its own challenges in Free State. You would have gone there, and the cricket stadium, not even challenges, it is occupied on those dates. So we are unable to go to the Rugby Stadium. It's not because of the numbers. The ANC can fill the numbers anytime. Yeah, we fill 3 stadiums, 4 stadiums, and so on. What went through the municipal manager, that can be asked by the mayor. Why he did a good job to flag the issues and whatever, but I don't know what went after him to the social media. Maybe somebody mischievous took the letter and circulated it. So I can't blame the municipal manager. He's doing his job. And it means when he flagged the issues, those issues must be attended to. As a responsible party, we deal with those issues. Service delivery. If you go to Mangaung, there is what is called the Mushweshwe Road. I went there as a Minister of Transport. That road has not been fixed. And Hauweng Free State Bus Services, which is part of the IPTN, Integrated Public Transport Network, for the past 10 years, since 2010, was not being implemented. We are going to Mangaung now. Mushweshwe Road is fixed. You can walk there. 2, the buses will be operational now by January. I made that announcement. We have fixed the IPTN. Thirdly, I've instituted the forensic. The report of the forensic will be ready before the 15th of January in terms of corruption and possible corruption in that contract. So we're dealing with service delivery issues, including Operation Valazong potholes. I can see here in Joburg, under the DA, the potholes is Yanami Swajim. They are not being attended to. So, zininzi man, namdi kapukeleli diaries ole busuku. Yeah. So, service delivery issues, you are right, Samkel. These are issues that must inform the January 8 statement, but program of action. People are tired of slogans. People are not interested who becomes a cabinet minister. They want to know, when are you going to make it a point that electricity is resolved? If the ANC doesn't resolve those issues, then we are in trouble. The people of Soweto don't want to know who's going to replace Mbalula in cabinet. They want to know, what are you doing with our electricity then? The debt and all of those issues. That's what our people are interested in. So we've got to be fixated on those issues, and I agree with you. We can't fix the stadium for the ANC and fail to fix broader service delivery issues in the country. And why I give you that background is because we go in Mangaung having fixed some of the things that have bedeviled that city in terms of service delivery. So we're not doing it for the rally. We have been doing it and we have delivered on that. Mushweshwe Road is been fixed. It is finished. I can say it is finished. Mushweshwe Road. That is what we have done there. And then there's a lot of work that still needs to be done continuously. The Troika issues, we need to attend to that. On the 4th in the evening, we are meeting with the IPC. And part of the issues we are going to deal with in Mangaung is that anarchy, where ANC members are doing as they wish. They must be told, whoever they are, wherever they are, that that holiday is over. There will be no ANC member in this country going forward who will be allowed in our name to work with the opposition without the mandate of the organization. That is anarchy, the highest state of disorder. The center must hold, and that's what is going to happen. And if people don't want to listen, then we'll have to evoke disciplinary processes. I know the DSG says discipline must be not. I agree with her. We must not use discipline all the time. The ANC reject the incorrigible. So I want to defend her, but discipline is going to run supreme in this organization. It's going. We have learned in the past 28 years that this thing of allowing anarchy and smile with it over time, when the constitution is very clear that what must happen to party discipline, it's not going to be something that we live with, and then we allow the ANC to disintegrate. You can't have members of the ANC when people of Mamusa vote us in majority. In majority. In the first council, you vote for an opposition, where we don't have coalition challenges. On your own, ANC members decide to vote for the mayor of the opposition. What is that? That's a disciplinary process. It's a discipline issue. We've got to deal with those particular issues. So the center must hold, and that must be very clear. But you don't use discipline where you differ with comrades. And then you use discipline. You persuade comrades where it is necessary politically. But if they overstep, discipline will be the last resort. But discipline must be discipline. So discipline is equal to the rule of law. Once the rule of law in the country is not there, the authority of the state is challenged, that government will not thrive, because it's going to be everybody's party. And that's what is going to happen. Leadership composition, Samkela have addressed that. Perceptions about the ANC, that's a matter that we need to deal with going forward, in terms of what we're going to do as a party going forward. If people perceive us to be corrupt, we are thieves, we have to deal with that part. And we have to deal with that decisively as a party. January 8th, as it lost its meaning, January 8 is a gathering where people and members and society get the marching orders and members of the ANC in terms of what is expected of them. There is a creeping in of, redefinition of this important day from the significance of it politically, and we've got to restore that. People want now a January 8 that will speak things that will happen. Remember, January 8, those times, was interpreted by cadres on the ground. It's a clarion call to cadres. But January 8 today is not only confined to cadres, it is also a message to society. What the ANC commit, it will do. If the ANC says in this January 8, we will deal with the economy in this way, society will follow that. That in terms of the economy, these are the following things that we're going to do. If the ANC says to society, in terms of renewing ourselves, this is the following things that we're going to do. At some point during the year, we must give a feedback about January 8. What have we committed we will do, and whether or not that has been done. That is what January 8 is going to be about to the ordinary citizens and to the cadres of the movement. And that January statement must be implemented to the front by cadres of the ANC. And that is what is important. This argument that January 8 is a bash, I think it has become tired in a way, because, certain things we are not in control of. When we go to Mangaung is going to be a buzz now. There are businesses there of entertainment, and then young people are going to move into Mangaung, and then they are going to have a good time like they do during Christmas and all of that, alongside January 8. We can't stop that. Yeah, it is a humdinger. It is a razzmatazz. Yeah, it is a celebration, but political content must remain and must not move away. But people will be going there on their own, but also, it is a pilgrimage in a sense that they go there, they leave their money there amongst our people in terms of small businesses and so on. What we don't condone is to do things in the name of the ANC that are an ANC and anti-development of society. We don't embrace plazas, those chauvinist, backward tendencies. We don't, as a party. But we are for a movement of people to enjoy, to celebrate, and at the same time to do what they can do on their own space and so on. But the political content, we agree with you, it must remain. January 8, out of it, what is it that the ANC commit to do for the people of South Africa? ENCA, disciplinary processes against this is an opinion of a strategic dialogue, ANC members about what they think should actually happen and how they view the activities and actions of the former president. But as the ANC, we are committed to ensuring that as we begin this year and going forward and post-conference, we want the center to hold. And the officials will reflect on this better, but what we are interested in is to ensure that former leaders of the ANC, we listen to them, we engage with them. We are not going to leave Comrade JZ as a former president and our leader alone. We are going to engage with him. We are going to have a sit down with him. We're going to understand him. We know he has been engaging with our leadership in the past. We know the sentiment he has expressed in the public domain, but we choose not to engage with him in the public domain. He's our leader. He came to our conference as a delegate, but to us he's got a standing in the organization. So we are going to engage with him at that level of his standing in the organization, and we're going to do that with utmost humility. I'm no longer Mbalula now, I'm the Secretary General. So what I said in Mpumalanga as Mbalula does not obtain now. So I'm occupying a special position, which is the Secretary General. So Secretary General does not do what he likes. He leads the party. He unites the party. And then he speaks even to people who don't want to speak to him. It's a pity Kalni House left before I arrived. Otherwise, I would have also been sitting on him. Not now as Mbalula on Twitter, as Secretary General. So, but he has left. So I don't want to define that moment as to what does it mean for me. So he has left, so no, I've got no obligation to do that. So he has already said he's gone, so he's gone. So my education as a person has taught me by elders of the ANC that you don't chase ANC people around. You talk to them. You engage them. Even myself, I wouldn't be here if somebody didn't talk to me and said, Mbalula, things are not done in this way. I gave you my experience the other day about Khalima Mutlante as the Secretary General, who organized a program for me to go to see Mam Tambo, Mam Sisulu, and then they gave me their lessons about organization, including about the leaders, Mandela, and so on. And Mamuini, was my mother. So those were the lessons that were given in the organization. So I would have been expelled in the organization if it was not because of Mutlante as the Secretary General. So those lessons remain with me in this position. And as I work with others also in the organization. So we will work with President Zuma and we'll engage him. It's not for public PR and all of that. It's in the best interest of the African National Congress. Ntebu, is ANC marginalizing minority? No. That could be a perception we need to deal with. It's very important that we deal with that particular perception, that we're becoming a an Africanist organization, and then minorities, we're closing them out in the organization. The project of nation building and the project of the national question, it's a fundamental principle of our national democratic revolution. It is who we are. And we have always understood that it is not something that you will achieve over a couple of weeks. It is a project of the national democratic revolution that we must understand. We work on it and so on over time. The conference organization, yes, conference left much to be desired. We are not proud of that history, that we could not finish the conference on time because of logistical issues. A party that is in power like ours, the other day I made the example about Soweto. Good things must come from the ANC, and society must learn from the ANC. If the ANC can't finish its conference because of logistics, registering people, ANC members don't have membership cards. It's like a driver's license thing I'm running there in the Department of Transport. And if you want to see the good thing I'm doing, go to Water Park, in terms of the driver's license renewal and so on. So the ANC must be concerned as a party that to renew your membership, how you organize, it must be something that is flawless. So we are not proud of that. We can't be proud. We can't stand here and tell South Africa that, no, we organized the best ever conference and we are proud of it. No, we're not proud. And we will work to turn that around. And we know there are a number of factors that led us to that point, but we don't want to make those factors the issues that we can overcome. We will overcome those issues. Yes, it is on our agenda, interaction with top 7. I don't want officials. I think you have had the interviews now with individuals about their profiles and so on. From now on, the center will hold. There's nobody who's going to speak on behalf of the ANC without my authorization. Yeah, of course. Powers vested in me. So when you see Nomvula speaking in parliament and everywhere as the official, you must trust her that she's representing the ANC. There must be no confusion in society about itini kahle kahle. Umantashe uyakhuluma umbalulu uyakhuluma uNomvula uyakhuluma what katsu. There can be no organization that can be run like that. You cease to have an opinion once you are in this position. You cease. Because once I speak, Nomvula speaks, the president speaks, we speak different things at the go. That is not an organization. It's a what? No, even a sponsor shop is run better. I want to give something. No, it's like a taxi rank. It says like a taxi rank. They are doing a brilliant job there, the taxi rank. So it's something else. So we are going to curtail that. Conference, we campaigned, we had views and all of that. That is over now. So we want everything to be proper. The view of the movement, and that is why I say all the time, the ANC will speak for itself. This thing of people believing fake news, that Pule will be reshuffled tomorrow. I'm not saying he won't be reshuffled, but he will be. But people can't believe that. The ANC will speak for itself, and that moment will come. We will come and explain to you again, these are the committees. At that moment has not arrived. We are hard at work. We've been working very hard throughout the festive season to get things going. And I want to thank all our staff. Load shedding. Our planning in terms of this hybrid conference include load shedding factored into it. There must be backup generators and so on. We have not asked ESCOM to give us an exception, but we're planning for load shedding in terms of generators. All the venues we have chosen are venues that will be responsive. In the eventuality there is load shedding, power generator will be in, including the system we are going to use to connect the hybrid is also responsive to that. Thank you very much. I'll give the TSG to talk to issues of the valley. Thank you.
You gave me permission?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Compliments of the new season. SG and DSG, just on the issues about the venue. We have a team on site. There's been 2 site visits already. Linked to it, there is a team, the engineering department of the municipality, that is on site. The commitment is that they will hand over the stadium to the African National Congress this afternoon. Not a political project, but as it happens everywhere, this is what is going to happen even with our event. What Comrade SG has raised about the venues, I was telling the DSG, and on a lighter note, I've said to her, I've not seen anything called first and second DSG in the Constitution. So who DSG? So that one, we've gone to other places, colleagues, and those of you who are still around, remember what time did we get the keys to the Cape Town Stadium? A day before. We were made to even cover the pitch and spend 2 million to cover the pitch. and many other things. The BRT routes were closed and all those things. So the ANC always adheres to the conditions that are granted to it in terms of compliance. Even with this one, SG, I don't think there's anything sinister, because again, when you apply, you expect the owner of the property to qualify the services that are there and up to what standard. And it is through their own intervention that they have gone out then to deal with those issues, including confirmation on the state of that infrastructure by their own independent body that has found the stadium to be fit and available and accessible for an event similar to the one that the African National Congress will be hosting on the 8th of January. The second issue is that we do not only see this event as an event of the people of Mangaung. It's actually an international event. It's an international event. We've got SG, a number of diplomats that have already registered that they will be in attendance. Secondly, we've got a number of traditional leaders, faith-based organizations that have already confirmed their attendance. And of importance, we also have promotion of local tourism. And I think that does not dilute the meaning of January 8th, Samken. Even non-ANC members are looking forward to the event. What we've seen 2 days ago on New Year's Day was people already making inquiries about the movement to Mangaung. We've also seen the local Gauteng tourism businesses, the KwaZulu-Natal businesses, actually organizing transport and accommodation, and the people of Mangaung releasing their own private properties for rental for this particular period. So part of what the ANC is hosting is promotion of tourism, as well as ensuring that we reconnect with our own structures and various community-based organizations. We'll go to Vaihook on the 8th of January in the morning, where the ANC was founded, and it will be led by the representative of the Methodist Church, but it will be an interfaith ceremony. And in that ceremony, we will also sing Liza Lisiting Alako, a very important Methodist hymn, but very close to the call by the founders of the African National Congress around issues of unity, around issues of tolerance, and around issues of diversity. The pilgrimage SGU has spoken about, we will be doing that accompanied by the leaders of the leagues and the Veterans League, included the Youth League and the Women's League. The families will be there, and part of it is about promotion of our own cultural diversity and connecting with those who were there before us. And the President will be leading all those sides of the visits. There's going to be an engagement around issues of energy security that is going to take place in Mangaung, facilitated by both the SG and Comrade Mamuluku, who was the chair of the economic transformation, and there will be a panel interacting around those issues around energy security. We know historically that Free State is the food basket of South Africa. You remember there was one thing called the Maize Triangle. Part of what we will also be having is an interaction led by Comrade President with the agricultural sector of the Free State and various stakeholders to deal with issues about food security, with the challenges of water security and energy security. A very important interaction, because again, it is the ANC that must be responsive but also appreciate what needs to be done going forward. The Women's League will be having a carnival at the Charlotte Maxeke Road, going to one of the big churches in Mangaung, where there will be a women's manyano. Umanyano Mama, although it will not be on a Thursday, it will be on a Wednesday. It will be led by the ANC Women's League. The officials, having gone through the pilgrimage, will go for that very important interaction with women of different faith denominations, hosted and led by the ANC Women's League. We are waiting for the Youth League, and those are our kids. We're waiting for them to complete what has always now been linked SG with the program of January 8, the Peter Mukaba program. In it, they are looking at two things. One, we said they must deal with the issues around issues that affect young people in the Free State, as well as just engagements on how we reposition the Youth League and the organization of the youth movement in South Africa. And it will take a different form. Amongst those people who will deploy are those former leaders of the Youth League who are in the NEC, including the SG and the DSG, and many others who must go and interact with the youth structures and help them to say, let's rebuild the preparatory school of the African National Congress. The other issue that's going to be part of this program, of course, it's the cultural activities. We will give the list to the SG. We want to promote local culture. We want to promote up-and-coming artists. And we know how the cultural sector has been hard hit by COVID. And we appreciate the ensemble that has been put together. And of course, there will be those others who are offering themselves to be part of that cultural program. Rather than us popping up champagne, we will actually, as we've done even in Mangaung, we will be releasing doves. We will be releasing doves for peace and for unity. And the cake that will be at the stadium will be donated to a children's orphanage as part of what has also become a new culture of organizing the January 8th event. We have minimum VIPs. Very few people that are going to be VIPs, but we have those that will have to give space and proper sitting arrangements, like the guests that we invite. As it happens now, when we are and to take out the cups that were in the kitchen scheme that were never used, they only get used Magunaba. So though that's the kind. But any other one, please don't call us for accreditation cards. Those that will be with the president at the golf, they will also, their access to the golf tournament gives them access to the stadium. Those that will be at the gala dinner, having paid, they would also be given that particular access. And then all other guests, special guests of the African National Congress will actually be afforded that space. So even there, the issue will just be about access and comfort, just sitting, and any other thing, everybody is going to be treated the same. The gates will open at 8 in the morning, and we will, on the 7th SG, take you to the stadium and brief everybody on site. We know that we are not under the serious challenges of COVID, but we must also be very careful. Those who feel that they'll have to put a mask on, please put it on, and let's ensure that any other health and safety measure is being complied with. So those are the things that are going to happen. There was the issue about backup. The stadium is not exempted. We have the timetable. We have a backup generator, just like we did in Polokwane. In fact, Eskom was the backup. The generator was the main supplier. So that's how we have, even here, planned such that we do not become over-dependent, but we actually become ahead of what might actually be a disruption of our own program. So SG, that's the issue about our sites. Actually, all sites. Today they were in Parkhof, where there's going to be a gala dinner. The service provider is also looking at installing a backup in view of the timetable that has just been released. Thank you very much.
No, last year was not the electricity card. It was just it was a trip. It was a power trip in Polokwane. No, thank you very much, members of the media. We'll meet in Mangaung. One of which must just indicate we've got what do you call it, SG? The site visit, inspection. Yeah, inspection in loco on Saturday, Mangaung, for the rally. We'll do that inspection, and then tomorrow we'll brief you about the conference on the 5th. Just for your connection, how you get fit. Okay. Yes.
Where is that briefing taking place?
The inspection in loco will happen at the stadium, on the 7th. And then the briefing tomorrow will be us talking to you informally just to give you update.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit, Saturday might be a little bit late, especially for us as a broadcaster, if we're going to have to run cables.
No. So Saturday you will be with the SGO.
Okay.
We are there on site. We will take you through.
If we wanted to send someone from our office, for instance.
Let's do the statement directs you to talk to me.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
If it gives you problems, just tell me now.
He usually doesn't give us any problems.
No, I will definitely assist where we can. I will.